There's one thing that mathematician Shakuntala Devi and actor Vidya Balan have in common: defying the odds and challenging stereotypes. If Shakuntala Devi, often called a human computer, is a legend of her time, Vidya Balan too has fought cliches and coarse body shaming. Now, as a new movie releases on the life and times of Shakuntala Devi and Vidya plays Shakuntala, the hope is that more young girls in India will feel encouraged to embrace arithmetic. Studies show that in India, the gap between boys and girls on this remains significant. For instance, a survey found that 50% of all boys in the age group of 14 to 16 could correctly solve a division problem, as compared to 44% of all girls in the same age group given the same problem. The difference, of course, is not of ability or gender, but about conditioning, classrooms, and encouragement. On Conversations for Change today, meet actors Vidya Balan and Sanya Malhotra on the life and times of Shakuntala Devi and young Ananya Solanki, a CBSE maths topper. So we're joined now by Vidya Balan, by Sanya Malhotra, and by Ananya Solanki. And I know Vidya and Sanya won't mind if I say Ananya is a very special guest on this program because she's a real-life maths topper. And I know that Shakuntala Devi would have liked to see young girls like her in a country where there's still the stereotype that girls either do not like mathematics or they're not good at it. Ananya actually was a CBSE class 10 topper and aced her maths exam. So I know Vidya and Sanya will be happy to hear from her. But let me start with you, Vidya. You're playing this fascinating character of a woman often sort of dubbed in the most cliched way as a human computer. But she was so much more than a maths whiz kid. She was a woman ahead of her time. And I've been reading up a lot about her ever since I read about your biopic. But what about her reality captured you and made it compelling for you?
Like most of us, what I knew about her was that she's known as a human computer. She's a mathematical genius and all of that. And like you rightly said, there are very few women mathematical geniuses or even women mathematicians. It's not a regular association. When you say genius, unfortunately or invariably, the image of a man pops into your head. So I was thrilled that, Anu Menon wants to make a biopic on Shakuntala Devi. And then, of course, when I started digging deep, Anu Menon had done a lot of research. She'd had conversations with Anupama Banerjee and Ajay, which is Shakuntala Devi's daughter and son-in-law, over months. And there were stories that they shared with me that just blew my mind, and I realized she's so much more than that, which is why I think she fascinates me. And then, of course, the fact that she was a woman way ahead of her time. We're talking 50 years ago, and here was a woman who didn't understand why there were different rules for women and men. She was like, I have this rare gift. I want to celebrate it. I want to take it to the world. And she enjoyed the attention that being on stage brought her. And she was like, why should any of that change? Why should I curb myself? Because now I'm a married woman or a mother. And I said, wow, she led a life without guilt. She lived unapologetically. And I said, even today, so many of us are struggling to do that, or most of us are. Yeah. And I said, this is a story I want to tell.
So talk a little bit about your own real life interface with science, with what's known as STEM. And I say that because I literally flunked every maths exam. I cried copious tears before taking a maths exam. And, now that I'm older, unabashed feminist, believe I can do anything I put my mind to, I still do not believe that I can do math. I just want to know how it was for you and Sanya. I'll ask you, Vidya, first. How are you as a science or a math student?
Science I was okay with, but maths I liked, and I was good with numbers. I have a knack with numbers, so I remember numbers rather easily, whether they're birth dates or phone numbers or, I just add up sitting in the car, driving to any place. I have this fetish. I just keep adding numbers on number plates. So it's always been easy for me. But I think what this film did was rekindle my love for numbers. Because
Really?
I lost touch, because obviously I'm an art student, and then the mobile phone happened, and then you stopped using your brain for anything. For the simplest of calculations, you pull out the phone and just calculate. So I think when I did this film, I said, oh, wow, I still have it in me, because I have to learn long numbers. And, unlike Ananya, I don't have to do any of the calculations myself, thankfully.
I know. But let me ask you, you often call yourself a work in progress feminist. When you look at the generation that came before yours and mine, you look at a Shakuntala Devi, you look at the barriers they had to cross, right? Does it make you feel like generationally we don't actually appreciate what women before us went through, one? And two, were they more unconventional than we are? Like, are we actually kind of conformist? Did the real rebels kind of come before our time?
Yeah, obviously they seem more rebellious because they were very few and far between. Today this is a conversation it's an ongoing conversation. We're all aware that we have the right to equal opportunity, to equal pay, basically that there has to be gender equality, that gender equality has to become a reality, But I think therefore they seem more rebellious. But I think not just the women who were, famous or who have books written about them or whose achievements have been lauded publicly. I think all the women before us have contributed to where we are today. Within their households, within families, within institutions, within organizations. I think it's every drop, makes the ocean.
So I want to get Sanya in a moment. Sanya, of course, plays Shakuntala Devi's daughter, your daughter, as it were. But I want to ask you, what has been the toughest thing for you to be a female in the film industry? And I ask you this because we've had many conversations. You've spoken very openly with being deconstructed for your shape and size, your body size. You've spoken about how you battled and conquered, I think, body shaming, maybe after the movie The Dirty Picture. But I'm sure it's relentless, right? You're in a vanity industry. You're constantly, being evaluated, not necessarily for how you act or the characters you play, but for how you look, how big your hips are, how big your breasts are. I'm being specific because this is how our bodies are actually spoken about. And that's why I'm using this language. I'm using the language that's used for us all the time. Where does this sociology major, this intelligent thinking actor, reconcile this part of her personality with constantly being evaluated on her body size?
Now I've grown deaf to it. I don't care what anyone has to say. What matters is what I see in the mirror and how I feel about myself, both physically in terms of appearance and even otherwise. I don't even let other people inform me about my achievements. For me, because on a day-to-day basis, sometimes it's a struggle to get through a very simple day. And, at the end of that day, I may feel like, wow, thank God. But, it's not just what is seen publicly. So I have reached a stage, I think, over these years where I feel that while I'm very grateful for the love that I receive as an actor, and, when people heap praises upon me, but I really feel that the only person I'm looking for validation from is myself, and which is why also on social media, it's a very reluctant relationship. So I post what I want to. I don't read comments. So when people tell me, oh, you got trolled for something, and I'm like, oh, okay.
You have to filter out the noise. You have to filter out the noise. And
I agree. That's the only way you can retain your sanity. And sometimes, because the comments are so, what bothers me more than anything else is when the comments get sexual and physical. And there are times when I have this urge to say something back, especially when it's a guy, and to say something nasty and to get down and dirty. And then I tell myself, so which is why I stopped reading anything.
Yeah, makes sense. Sanya, is there an intergenerational clash, or is there a different way that younger actors like yourselves actually think, when you step into this space? Because sometimes I feel, again, like every generation comes before has to fight battles that you don't, but you have battles of your own. So one, before we get into the character, what's it like to be a young actor today? Is it Is it tough to be a woman in this industry?
I don't think so. It's tough. I think it's actors like Vidya and my seniors have inspired me to be what I am today. I think as she's talking about body positivity, I'm glad like I can look up to her and I don't mind like, as she said, like now also if I'm posting something on social media and if there is I have stopped reading comments because I really don't care about other people. If I like, I'll post it. If I like to wear something in my as a character, I will wear it and I don't want anybody's validation. It's my art, it's what I feel, and I will do it. And I think because of her and other actresses, my seniors, they have created this foundation for new actors like us, and it's a good change. Like obviously the change is still like going on, but I don't think so it's tough to be um, a female actor in this industry now, because obviously you can see the scripts are changing, people are writing more powerful characters, and for us it's like I'm really glad that I'm an actor now because I get to play such beautiful female characters on screen and I love it.
Yeah, do you think that's true? Like, do you think that 10 years ago there wouldn't have been a Shakuntala Devi type protagonist for you to play, that filmmakers may not have even thought that the audiences would want to hear her story?
Oh, absolutely. I remember, Ishqiya was one of the first so-called female-centric films. And I remember people actually calling me up and saying the day the announcement happened, saying, listen, these kind of films don't really have an audience. And they thought it was a bit artsy because it was a female-led film, and I just went ahead and did it because I realized that I was sticking out like a sore thumb in the typical, the mold of the typical Hindi film heroine. And I said, this is what speaks to me and I'm going to do it. And then when the film actually on the first day, I remember this gentleman from T series, Mukesh Desai, called me and he said, you're the hero of the film. And I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, because, Nasir Saab doesn't really promote, or at that time he didn't really promote, and Arshad had started another film, so he couldn't be there all the time. So I went ahead and promoted it in the way I best knew. Promotions were also fairly new at that time. So he said, you literally carried it on your shoulders and we're doing well. We recovered the money we had invested. So that was a big triumph. And then I think one thing led to another. It is a domino effect. So that film did well. So someone else came to me with The Dirty Picture, and then Kahani happened, and No One Killed Jessica happened. So I think slowly it started opening up the horizon for us, widening the horizon. People started investing money, still conservatively, but at least they were investing money in female hero stories. And then slowly it's just, it took off. So yes, 10 years ago. Yeah,
but are they paying you? Are they paying you the same now? Are they paying you the same?
So, I have to say that when I do a film with a male hero, I don't get paid as much as he does. And I'm not happy about that because I contribute as much. But in the female-centric films, I get paid the same percentage that a male would get paid in a male-centric film. So at least that makes me happy.
But it's still a battle, right? It's still a battle.
It is, and I think it's going to take a while before it really fructifies. That kind of pay parity fructifies.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about math, because we've got young Ananya, but although all of these other conversations, body shaming, feminism, female role models, are as important, Ananya, as that math score in CBSE is. Now, I was reading your interview when you topped the CBSE in class 10, and you said that actually one of your favorite subjects was maths, and it's what you found the simplest to do. Do you find that schools still lean towards boys being better at maths than girls? How has it been for you?
Well, I think there has certainly been a lot of change when it comes to how schools perceive students when it comes to certain subjects. But I think there still is this stereotype that boys are better at math than girls. Because I think when, if, for example, when I used to top a math contest, for example, there were a lot of surprised faces. And, because it was always like, okay, how did she beat that guy? And, I have always sort of faced that kind of stuff, even when somebody asks me what I want to do. And I say that I have taken math as a major. And they're like, okay, wait, you don't want to become a doctor? So it's just this stereotype that if okay, girls might like science, but if they like science, then they're definitely going to become a doctor. And I think even today we see parents not as willing to send their children into the engineering stream, or it's just the stereotype's still there. Change is
Yeah.
happening, but we still have a long way to go.
And how old are you? Because you definitely sound wiser than your years. So can I
Yeah,
ask you how old you are?
I'm 16.
6.
Wow.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, delicious age actually. Life feels full of possibility. What do the boys say? How do the boys react to a girl topping in maths, Ananya?
I think today's generation is in fact a lot more liberal towards this. All my guy friends were very supportive, and I think today the young generation does not see it as much of a stereotype as the older generations. And yeah, I definitely feel like they are more open to girls being a part of more versatile careers that involve math.
And do you know what you want to do? Do you want to pursue maths? Do you want to pursue engineering, or do you not know right now?
I'm not completely decided, but I would like to pursue. I would like to do research in biochem, which definitely involves a lot of math, even though it has bio. But chemistry obviously has a lot of mathematical part in it as well.
Good for you. Now, let me ask you, is there something you'd want to ask Vidya, who's playing the character of Shakuntala Devi, Sanya, who's playing her daughter? You know, when I was in school, Shakuntala Devi used to come and she used to perform on stage, and she'd just have these nanosecond replies to the most complex equations. And I'm sure you've read about her since you're interested in math. Is there something you'd like to ask Vidya? It doesn't have to be about math. It can be anything you want to.
I just want to ask her what inspired her to do this film, and what outcome does she hope to achieve from it? As in, how does she hope to inspire more young women to become like Shakuntala Devi?
I think I hope this film inspires women to just shine at whatever they do, not just maths. Well, I hope lots more, women, of course, take up maths. I'm just realizing that it hadn't even crossed my mind really that could, it could still be an issue in this day and age that when you win awards for maths or prizes or a competition, that people actually have surprised looks on their faces. So I definitely hope that changes. But what I really hope as an outcome of this film is that, people look at maths differently. I think also, most people are scared of maths because it's been an abstraction. It's been taught
Yeah.
as an abstraction. But Shakuntala Devi made me realize that actually maths is in everything in life. And when you see that it's all pervasive, you're not going to be intimidated by it anymore. It's like it's in cooking, it's in running a house, it's in nature, it's in music, what have you. It's everywhere. So I definitely hope that. And
Yeah. But you're saying you didn't even know it was an issue. In fact, I was looking at a study from last year, from a policy group, that actually shows that there's a distinct gender gap in performance, notwithstanding bright students like Ananya. There's a gap in how boys perform at maths and girls perform, not because of genetics, but because of how the classroom teaches a boy doing maths versus a girl doing maths, because of opportunity, because of parental encouragement, and so many other reasons. But Vidya and Sanya, I want to just go back to the film in the end and what it represents to you. Sanya, as the daughter of Shakuntala Devi, she didn't have an easy marriage. She was actually fascinating story. I mean, without giving away too much of the story, she was her first marriage was to somebody who was gay and not out. So she was talking about homosexuality before like anybody in this country was, before 377 and that debate existed. So what did you imbibe from playing the daughter of this strong female role model?
I think the one thing that I realized that, first of all, Shakuntala Devi, as you said, she's a child of her time. And being her daughter, I don't know, I was just trying to understand her psyche as a child, how it must have been to grow up with Shakuntala Devi, who liked to travel a lot because of her work. She used to love maths. She used to hardly be at home. So just know her psyche. And at that time, I'm sure, like, she used to see her friends and be jealous of their mothers being so active and at home. And so there's also a dialogue in the trailer, if you have watched that, why can't you be normal? That she replies beautifully that जब मैं amazing हो सकती हूँ तो normal क्यों बनूँ? So I think just that one dialogue and the whole I think it inspired me in the sense that we have to stop putting our mothers on a pedestal. They can they can have their own dreams, they make mistakes, and that will like actually change a lot of things for us. When we'll become mothers, we won't be perceived as this goddess who cannot
Yeah, I call them chains of gold. You know, every time we want to make a woman into a superwoman, we're actually imprisoning her in chains of gold. But it's jail. It's jail to make women sit on this pedestal and then guilt them for not living up to that standard. Vidya, let me ask you about that in the end. You know, you've had so many. You've battled, but your choice of movies has been intriguing. It's not been the set piece choice. Each of your characters has been, I would say, an unconventional, strong female persona. Does that typecast you? Do you think your industry talks about you a certain way behind your back? You know, like it used to be art house wali in the 70s. What's the caricature you think they use for you?
I don't know. And I don't care as long as I'm getting offered great work. I have no time for their conversations. You know, I'm only interested in the work that, like I said, you know, it's just work begets work. And I think over the past 10 years, I feel that the variety of roles that is being offered to me has only gotten better. So that's what it is.
But this bit that Sanya said about stop putting women on a pedestal, stop expecting them to live to that standard. The one thing that really comes through the little snippets I've seen about Shakuntala Devi's life is that she lived on her own terms, and she lived guilt-free, and she lived joyously. And a lot of times women are scared to say I. We're always saying we. We're always putting other people's happiness ahead of ours. We're apologetic about embracing the individual. And this seems very lovely because it seems like a woman was unapologetically about her, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, because you've spoken about how every character you play has changed you in real life.
Yeah, you know, like I feel that with this particular story or this particular character, what it's done is it's set me free. It's set me free a little more, because I really feel that I'm on a day-to-day basis, I'm striving to lead my life, to live my life on my own terms. But you know, living her has almost given me a further push in that direction. Because really, I think whether we're aware of it or not, we all carry a certain guilt when we don't put others before us.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a mother for that. You know, as a wife, as a daughter, I know that as a professional, for the longest time, I felt that I had to be accommodating, because you know, it's almost like you're being told that you take the higher ground, but actually, I think I was a pushover for a long time, and it took me some work to realize that is what was happening. I wasn't being accommodating. I was just.
What's the most pushovery thing you've done?
Like, I would adjust to everything I was asked to, you know, adjust to, like the male actors' dates. You know, they do his close-ups first and then shoot mine last, even though, you know, they'd want me to look beautiful and dewy and all that. And at the end of the day, they'd have to light me up even more. And just the fact that, you know, for example, if we were shooting in a smaller place and it had one good hotel, then the one person who would get the suite is him, and then everyone would be allotted rooms and all these things. And I would be like, yeah, it's okay. I guess I also had the need to be liked because I was new. I come from, you know, a non-film family. So I thought I didn't want to rub anyone the wrong way.
The outsider, insider debate is here. What do you make of that, by the way? I was going to say thank you, but since you waded into that yourself, what do you make of that?
You know, really, I think this is a one place where meritocracy reigns supreme. You can be, you know, doesn't matter your qualifications, doesn't matter, you know, which region of the country you come from or what language you speak or which family. Finally, the audiences decide whether they like you or not. And there's no 2 + 2 = 4 that works there. So I really believe that, of course, a lot of people, you know, have the advantage of getting the first opportunity a little more easier. because they belong to a certain family. But beyond that, it's your talent and your hard work.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I think the more important thing you actually said was the need to be liked. Too many women need to be liked, need approval. And as you grow older, strangely, you find yourself needing that less and less. It actually comes with age, right? You just feel clear. That's the beautiful thing about growing older. I can't wait to see this film. It sounds absolutely fascinating. Vidya, Sanya, and hey, Ananya, all the best to you for whatever you want to do. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barkha.